So what we're witnessing in Minneapolis is just a chilling display of ideological tyranny from people who seem to believe that they themselves are above the law. Take a look.
As you can see, all these pretend Christians, all these comfortable white people who are living lavish, comfortable lives while children are dragged into concentration camps. You're living real life, nice lives with your lattes, doing absolutely nothing for your Latino and Somali brothers and sisters. You come here to a man wearing a suit. Is a preacher? Did Jesus wear a suit?
Welcome to your modern, radicalized Democratic Party. Those are the people that support Mayor French Fry and Timmy Walz. Those are the people that love Mamdani and Gavin Newsom and AOC and the Squad and let's see, who else? Grandpa Bernie and Pocahontas. That was inside a church during a church service, apparently hunting down someone they thought had ties to ICE. Failed fake news CNN host Don Lemon was somehow there to capture it all. With opinion. Take a look.
When you violate people's due process, when you pull people off the street and you start dragging them and hurting them and not abiding by the Constitution, when you start doing all of that, people get upset and angry. And if you remember what the Civil Rights Movement was about, the Civil Rights Movement was about these very kinds of protests. There's nothing in the Constitution that tells you what time you can protest. You can protest at any time. That's the whole point of it, is to disrupt, is to make uncomfortable. And that's what they're doing. And that's what I believe when I say everyone has to be willing to sacrifice something. You have to make people uncomfortable in these times.
Now, Lemon's claiming he was just there doing journalism, but after the so-called demonstration forced parishioners to flee the church, Lemon appeared on a far-left podcast, and he got his own shots in, just like he did in that fake news report. Take a look.
I think people who are, in the religious groups like that, it's not the type of Christianity that I practice, but I think that they're entitled, and that entitlement comes from a supremacy, a white supremacy. I do understand that I'm the biggest name there. And I'm also, as I was on with my producers this morning, you and Kylie talk all the time. My producers were saying, I said, how did I become the face of this? And my producer said, Don, you're a gay black man in America, and you have a platform, and you're the biggest name. Of course, you're going to be the person that they single out, and they're going to make the headline because it plays to their base, and their base is full of racist, bigoted homophobes.
All right, it's about race, it's about homophobia, it's about people and judgments about people being racist inside a church that are just trying to worship freely as they choose without being harassed this way. Lemon, other agitators, they are stalking people, harassing them because they might have ties, they claim, to ICE. There was a group of developers who were accosted at a restaurant. There have been multiple encounters with men simply because they drive large trucks or SUVs that people think resemble ICE vehicles. And after weeks of inciting a violent mob against federal law enforcement officials just trying to uphold the law, which is their job, and apprehend criminal illegal immigrants in Minnesota, they have gotten thousands of them, included among them murderers, child rapists, other violent criminals. You have Timmy Walz and Mayor Smallfry don't seem to have any interest in defending innocent Americans in Minnesota who are being stalked, intimidated, assaulted, harassed by violent left-wing agitators. Not a peep. How about get the hell out of Minneapolis or get the hell out of Minnesota? Don't expect it if they're going into a church because there are judgments there. Instead, Democrats like Congresswoman Omar continue to pour fuel on the fire. Take a look.
And it is appalling for Americans to have to carry their citizen papers only to be told they are not sure if those papers are correct. I don't want to curse, but those of us who escaped places like that, the one place where we thought we would never experience this is the U.S. states, and we should all be ashamed.
And you have wannabe governor of California, Eric Fang Swalwell, is even vowing to revoke ICE officers' driver's licenses. The same Eric Swalwell who wants all the illegal immigrants to have easy access to the very same licenses, but let's cut through the insanity, if we can, for a minute. Remember, something very important. The ICE agents who Democrats are vilifying are taking these criminals off the street. We have been scrolling the violent criminals that have been arrested because of their bravery every single day. Take a look.
Second reporting, we're here to arrest a child sex offender. And you guys are out here honking.
Oh, we're not. No, we're press. No, we're not.
That vehicle right there is honking and impeding our investigations while we're trying to arrest a child sex offender. That's who you guys are protecting. Insane.
It's insane. That would be true. ICE has removed over 2,700 criminal illegal aliens just from Minneapolis, the city, and way more, thousands in Minnesota. Take a look at your screen. These are people convicted of murder and rape, child sex crimes, assault, many other horrific crimes. Why on earth are Democrats trying to protect those criminals? That guy asked the right question. Why do they want them in our country? How many Americans need to get murdered, raped, victims of violent crime before the Democratic Party ever returns to sanity? And get this, many on the left, including in the legacy media mob, are now comparing Border Patrol Chief, Greg Bavino to a Nazi. Nothing new. That's their favorite go-to. Why? Because he's walking around outside in the freezing cold in Minnesota wearing a long overcoat.
Want even more Fox News on YouTube? Become a Fox News Patriot today. Click join to find out how.